Hey, Coach, so glad you found us on YouTube. Let me help you through this great journey. I have done it. I've won lots of championships, run one of the best programs in the country, coached NBA guys. I can help you become a better basketball coach. Teachhoops.com, I started for the sole purpose of coaches like you. Let me help you. One-on-one calls, office hours, videos with me, you name it, we got it. I am here to help. There's no other place you're going to get the coach's personal email address. I want to be your Yoda. I want to be your mentor. Let me help you through this great journey we call coaching. All right. Enjoy, Coach. All right. Welcome to Coach Unplugged. So, Coach, you are in Washington State. Is that correct?
Walla Walla, Washington.
Walla Walla, Washington. God, yeah. Wow. First of all, I love the name Walla Walla, Washington. Now, where did that come from? Do you know where that origin is?
Walt Whitman was the guy that got slaughtered by all the Indians or something near here. I don't know.
Yeah. It's one of those places people hear about, but they know all the time. So what I'm going to have you do, Coach, is because I kind of know your background a little bit. I'm going to have you kind of go through your basketball journey.
Okay.
How you kind of started, where you were, how you ended up where you are right now. You've been so successful last, handful of years. It's unbelievable. And then just kind of tell people that your journey, and then we'll just dive in and we'll go from there. And just whatever road we'll walk down at that point, we'll see where we go.
Okay. I could say when I started playing briefly in high school, I was in kind of a broken home, and there was no one ever home when I got there, and so I spent all my time with the coaches. I was in 4 different high schools in 4 years, and those coaches invested in me and believed in me and built me to where I didn't need basketball anymore, which is a big deal. And so I thought I'm always going to be a coach, as if I couldn't play, I was going to coach, right?
Right.
So, and then once I got began in the coaching, it was like I'm going to try to be the next John Wooden, and being a 23-year-old,
Right. Yeah, we all been there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that was a volunteer position at West Florida under Don Hogan, who was we're still in touch. He's an amazing coach. And then I was the restricted earnings coach at Stephen F. Austin.
Okay. Yep.
And my coach left there, and then I went to Colorado School of Mines, Division II.
Yep.
And, my coach left there, and then I went to the West Coast with Bob Gaylord at Lewis Park, who's a phenomenal coach, maybe the best coach I've ever been around. And he really, really made an impact on me in a variety of ways. And then from there, I joined my coach at Colorado School of Mines at Cal State Bakersfield.
Okay.
He and I were assistants under Henry Clark, who was there with Pat Douglas when they won all the championships in Division II in the 90s.
Yep.
And then I got my first head coaching job at UC Santa Cruz. I was there for 2 seasons. I'm hired on October 8th and left like almost 18 months later or whatever it was at May something for Puget Sound. University of Puget Sound.
Yep.
I was there for 5 years, and then I left to go to Pepperdine with Vance Wahlberg for 2 years.
Yep.
And then from Pepperdine back to Whitman, and been in one spot now.
So literally, you sound like all the young coaches and stuff. This is part of the profession. I mean, you've been at Whitman how long now? 6 years?
11 years, but that's the longest I've been in one place. I can tell, kids nowadays, like they say the millenniums or whatever they are, the Ys or
right.
You got to pay a price, and like everybody wants to coach, right?
Right.
There's just no supply for a whole lot of demand, or no demand for a lot of supply, however that works.
Right.
Like I moved for 7 straight years. I threw all my stuff in the car and drove to the next destination,
right.
And you were always doing something on the side, whether it be a 7-Eleven or I was a personal trainer in one spot.
Right.
I was cleaning dorms in another.
Right. Tell about tell coaches that are listening. What do you think you took from that? Because trust me, you're one of the winningest coaches in college basketball right now. Like you look at the last 5 years, you're like, Bo Ryan. Like Bo Ryan was one of the winningest coaches when he retired.
Yeah, I don't know. What I took from that is that everybody wants to be a coach, and there's just no positions, So
right.
So it's like I thought when I was done playing that either I would keep playing until I was 27, 28 maybe, or
right.
I would try to be a head coach by the time I was 27, 28. So when we didn't have kids, was moving every single year and working camps every summer and networking. And I put so much work in. And I'm not saying that's any more than anybody else, but I really, 7, 8 years, dove into it until I got that first head coaching chance,
And then my guess is, and this is from my coaching career when I moved around too, it's like you take a little bit of everybody.
Gosh, let me tell you.
Yeah.
It was so interesting because at West Florida was my first experience as a volunteer, and I remember just stuffing envelopes every day, and the booster envelopes and stuffing envelopes. And Don Hogan was a little bit looser than what I thought, because I'm thinking structure and you got to do it the right way and be a good teammate.
Right.
He's highly effective at it,
Yeah.
And like the players had some freedom. At Stephen F. Austin, there's a magical assistant there named Derek Allister that led with the heart and loved the guys. And the guys would kill for him. And that was like a mental note of like, boy, okay. I was going to like that anyway.
Right.
But, you got to be about them. And they will kill for you, just like I would have for any of those high school coaches,
Right.
And then, Carl School Mines was a whole bunch of pinch post offensive stuff that I liked. And even at Stephen F. Austin, we had an offense where we kind of came down and we ran just to one spot on the floor each time. So the guys only took shots from that one spot that they're supposed to.
It's like running a flex. Yeah.
We play man-to-man defense where they would stand 5 feet away and they would wave their hands like this. And we would teach them, you got to wave your hands like this. And you're like, where are we? I never, and then Cal State Bakersfield was extremely loose, but they were the winningest program in college basketball behind Bo Ryan and Kansas in the 90s, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so just to see the inner workings there.
There's more than one way to skin a cat is basically the lesson.
How to raise money there, and which is critical, especially at the small college level, right?
Right.
And then let's see, Lewis and Clark College. The first day of practice, I drove up at 5:15 a.m. and we had practice at 6, and 2 kids just came, or 2 vans. There's a bunch of kids that came piling out of these vans.
Right.
I'm thinking, I'm late. They're all waiting to practice, and I'm like, this is great. Division III, like, wow, this is, and then UC Santa Cruz is like, boy, this is your first head coaching job, and I remember throwing off our best player that second year in the first week, and going, I recruited him for 9 months.
Right.
And
now he's gone.
Think about that, right? Like, okay, maybe I should have given him some more role,
right.
Just things you learn. And then Puget Sound was fun. And I really started to develop the way that I wanted to play, pressing and running. And we had some magical years there. I mean, in our last 3 years, we were
hey, Coach, so glad you found us on YouTube. Let me help you through this great journey. I have done it. I've won lots of championships. Run one of the best programs in the country, coach NBA guys. I can help you become a better basketball coach. Teachhoops.com, I started for the sole purpose of coaches like you. Let me help you. One-on-one calls, office hours, videos with me, you name it, we got it. I am here to help. There's no other place you're going to get the coach's personal email address. I want to be your Yoda. I want to be your mentor. Let me help you through this great journey we call coaching. All right, enjoy, Coach.
California, because it was a UC school, University of California.
Right.
Puget Sound was West Coast wise in California. California's its own country, so you can always recruit California regardless of where you're at.
Right.
Whitman's been different. It's been, it's been international because we have international money.
Okay.
It's West Coast, but I've always been a firm believer that in terms of recruiting, you got to give the kids love. You got to go down and see them. You got to develop a relationship, and because of the budgets at the small college level, you better do it close. It better be right next door, or it better be at least in the region.
Right.
That's that approach.
And the reason I asked the question is the Amherst thing. My son's a pretty bright kid, so he's looking at schools like that just for school wise. And if he plays, he plays. I don't really, it is what it is. But and at their swatch is really bigger, but the amount of kids that can get into that school is so small. But that, in some respects, I think that maybe makes it easier for them. They know that they have to they go to the Ivy League elite camps, and that's where they're looking for their kids, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what they're known like Amherst, like those schools I call made jobs. Like it doesn't matter who's going to be there. Of course, Coach Hickson's done a great job, but they kind of recruit themselves. People send tapes, and
Right.
William, Amherst, Chicago, Middlebury, Tufts. No one really knows who Whitman is.
Right.
And like we got here, there's one winning season in 20 years, and it was like, well, we're not really to that level, Amherst and Williams, but we're the best academic school in the Northwest.
Right.
So how do you sell that? I can't compete with Claremont or Point Pitzer on a kid.
Right. Those are crazy hard schools to get into too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like we're in Walla Walla in the middle of nowhere, and it costs $70,000 a year, and we're as liberal gets.
Right.
Kids. So you just each school is its own little puzzle that way.
And so where is Walla Walla in comparison to Washington? How far are you from San Francisco?
It's far away from everything. Okay. So we're let's see, we're 4 hours away from Seattle, Portland, Boise, 2.5 south of Spokane, where Gonzaga's at.
Okay.
And a 12-hour drive from San Francisco. There's a flight.
Right. You're in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
It's wine country, but 18-year-olds don't really give a rip about wine.
Yeah, they really don't. So let's talk about what's your coaching philosophy? Let's talk about your coaching philosophy.
I truly, if there's one thing that we do or that we try to do is get kids where they aspire to be.
Okay.
And that's the bottom line. If we have coaches come in, it's get the coaches where they aspire to be. How much value can we add to their journey and get them where they want to be, where they aspire to be? So everything we do within the program, and you're probably talking in a basketball sense, but in terms of internships and professional development, life skills, we spend the majority of our time doing that and recruiting.
Right.
That's where it's at for us. If we don't win a game, that's fine.
Right. And how do you go about recruiting? Because you're limited. You're not for the listeners. You're not like Buzz. You're not getting on a Buzz Will. You're not like Calipari getting on a private jet to go look at kids.
There's nothing to do downtown. There's nothing to do on campus, even though we have the second happiest students or whatever, right?
Right.
But we have an unbelievable job placement ratio. Like we're placing guys, and so if you're in the basketball books in the future in relationships, we're worth looking at.
Right.
We're kind of like a cult on campus, and we take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
There's nothing else in town, so we packed the gym, and like our latest playoff game sold out in 6 minutes, and we had people camping outside.
Right.
And you're like, wow. So if you're basketball and books in relationships, that's kind of our slogan,
Basketball and books. I love that. Yeah. So what does your normal practice look like? I always ask coaches this.
I will tell you, 5, 6
years. If I walked into your practice, what would I see and would I know after, and this is what I ask coaches. If I walked into your practice, what would I see and what would I know after 5 to 10 minutes?
That's why I need to explain it. Okay.
Okay.
If it were 5 to 6 years ago, you would see a detailed practice plan, which is still pretty detailed, minute to minute. But you would have saw intensity, structure, focus.
Yep.
There is no fun. Fun is driving to win something.
Right.
Finish every play. And I went through a personal transformation that I kind of gave up trying to win, which is a part of stoicism and stuff. But so now you come in and it's how much fun can we have?
Right.
So you would see the first 20 minutes of us jacking up shots look like we got let out of our cages, and you'd be, what is this? It looks like a club, and you'd go, this has got to be the biggest joke that I've ever seen.
Right.
But technically you would see us getting shots out of our offense.
Okay.
But it's pumping. And the first 35, 40 minutes is all individual development and getting up shots in our offense.
Wow. That's not the norm. That's not the norm.
It's today's kid, I'll tell you.
It is.
They want to have fun. And if you can incorporate fun and joy into what you're doing, it's incredible the outcomes that you get.
Right.
That's what we try to do.
Okay. So that this kind of leads into your offense. So is this how the fence offense came into play?
Well, back to where we don't have the talent that the rest, and I can't attract the talent that the rest of the country can. That's just factual. And so how do we get one of their bigs out of the game? Because we can't recruit anyone that's above 6'8" that's any good.
Okay.
So we'll make it a full court game, right? And because
Right.
you can only do guards, there's a trillion guards, you know.
Right.
So we have we made a guard system that made it a full court game. We pressured, we ran, and it just got to be okay. Well, dribble drive opened my eyes to driving lanes and to getting to the basket, drawing fouls. We've led the country free throws made and attempted the last 5 years.
Okay.
And it's like if you truly know the dribble drive, it's very structured. It's not as open as you would think. You know,
It's
like
not. I can defend it. Trust me, we've had people in our league do it. I can defend the dribble drive. I know how to defend it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I work for Vance Wahlberg, right? So
Right.
it's like I understand the dribble drive.
Right.
It was like, why don't we just get people out of the way? So we started putting people instead of like block line extended,
Right.
Mid lane. We started putting them on the baseline.
Okay.
So we're extreme with everything that we do. So guys would be on the baseline or literally on the sidelines, the fence, right?
Right.
Creating an unbelievable vacuum of space where you can't possibly guard one guy with that amount of space.
It's almost like you have them standing on the NBA 3 up top.
No, we have them staying on the sideline.
All the way over.
It wouldn't matter what the offense we were running. We would always have them on the NBA 3 because if you're going to shoot the 3, you would want your momentum coming into the shot anyway, right?
Right,
So
right.
Point line.
Yep.
So we would always be that deep anyway, but we are so wide that we're probably at 24, 25 feet on the opposite sideline. And then if our guy is off that, or if the guy that's guarding me, let's say that I'm on the sideline,
Right.
and he's off that line, let's say he's on the nail at the free throw line.
Right.
We may drive it in and then just go right across even without any help. And then
Right.
all of a sudden you have a rip and go weak side, and that's automatic offense. I mean,
Right.
that's
Yeah,
offense.
it's isolations. It's almost what the Bucks are doing a little bit. They're just spreading so wide.
Well, it frustrates me to watch the Bucks because they go 1-2-2, and you see Giannis at top with no space.
Right.
They're sitting right there. There's nowhere
So
for
it's
them to
not
go.
a 1-2-2. Then what? Describe it for the listeners.
It could be a 1-4 low. It
Okay.
could be at the most it would be a 2-3 high with me having the ball and the other guy on the opposite sideline and
Okay.
3 on the baseline.
Okay.
I mean, that's space. You want
Yes.
space, that's space. And so all we do is work on dribble handoffs if we're not comfortable with attacking, flares on the weak side, and then how to break your guy down.
Okay.
And we're obsessive with it. And so if no one helps and we're in the paint, that's a shot, right?
Right. And so you're looking for guys that can handle the rock too.
We look for scores because if you can get guys to love each other and care about each other and play for each other, if they're already instinctually scorers, you've already got half the battle,
Right.
won. I would say if you got trapped, right? What would you tell your guard that got trapped? What's the first thing that you would tell your offense to do?
Cut.
Okay. Whoever had the ball, what would you tell them to do?
Look at the basket.
Right. Oh, okay. But you would tell them also two passes out.
Right.
No
Right.
matter what.
Yeah.
Right? Then you have a longer
Right.
closeout.
Right. Yep.
So if we draw 2 when we're attacking, no matter what, we go 2 out. And so we're either at the cup or we get in the paint and we're 2 out and it's another look at a 3, or we're
Right.
attacking again.
Yeah. So it's
That's the
that,
game.
it's that constant movement.
Oh, and if you watch the first game of the Bucks, for instance, in Toronto, that's all they were doing. It was almost to a fault.
Right.
They were driving and they almost had a layup, and then boom, they would skip it out. And there's
So in
shots
your
that are going-
practice, what are you spending your time on? You're spending your time on spacing.
all we do is spacing. A truckload of shots. We also play a whole lot of advantage, disadvantage stuff. So we'll play 4-on-4, but with a guy in the paint with a pad, playing as the 5th defender, like a coach.
Okay.
So you may beat your guy. There's a coach there with a pad. So you have to consistently kick back out, swing the ball, attack again, because you're playing 4 versus 5, right?
Right.
We'll do the same thing, 3 versus 4. So I mean, and then we get in the game, and it's like this is easy because there's no
easy.
Right.
So let's say the guy catches it on the baseline, he gets to the short corner, and then he gets stopped at like 15, 16 feet. What do you do then?
Kick it back out and attack again.
Okay.
I mean, what's been good for us is like we have X's in the corners, D corners, like on the baseline. Even in practice, we'll have them actually on the baseline. So we might get a turnover or 2 in the game, which I'm not excited about because we're already standing out of bounds. That's how deep we are.
Okay.
I would rather be like that early. But and then we'll have X's at around 16, 17 feet on the baseline. So if I'm a shooter, I can be on that 16, 17 foot X. And let me just backtrack just for a second. If you're guarding me and I'm in the corner and you're in help and the ball's on the opposite side.
Right.
You know, let's say that I'm mid lane and I start walking backwards to the corner, you're going to drop as far as you have to where you can still see me.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you have 10 people standing in the corner, you're going to keep dropping to where you can see your guy.
Right.
So by doing that, you get an extra 3 to 4 feet of depth where you can penetrate and turn the corner on, right?
Right.
So that's number 1. 2, if you had a guy at 16 feet on the weak side on the baseline and then one in the corner, right? If you drove it, just like dribble drive, he would kick out of the corner most of the time, right?
Right.
You might kind of kick up like they call it, right? The guy, it's at 16 feet. It's his man that'll help him the drive.
Right.
And so he pops corner or he goes underneath the rim, relocates under the rim.
Okay.
So you've got a layup or you've got a 3.
Okay.
I can't tell you how many threes you've gotten in the corner off of that guy just turning the help, and all of a sudden,
boom,
it's vacated. Right. So we'll do a whole lot of times. We'll be at 2-3 low, or we'll be 1-4 low.
Okay.
At times, and we'll just let them play out of that. They'll set a flare. It'll be a dribble handoff, and then dribble handoffs to me are incredibly difficult to guard.
And why?
Because it creates indecision, right? What's the whole game right now? The game is how many, can you get the ball to the paint?
Right.
Yeah. So how are you getting the ball to the game? Are you cutting and moving? Are you hitting guys back door? Are you penetrating? Is it a post up? Are you high low?
Right.
When we have any touch of the paint before a shot, we score or get fouled 28% more of the time.
That's crazy. So at the lower level, so even at my level, when there's dribble handoffs or even ball screens, the kids don't make great decisions, so they get doubled. So how do you counter that?
I think we spend an inordinate amount of time of attacking off the dribble, playing through contact with pads in practice.
Right.
Jump stopping and reverse pivoting and then throwing it out. There's always a spot behind the ball that's open. So even though you might draw 2, you can reverse pivot and there will be a guy open behind you.
There's gonna be somebody back open behind you. That's a good point. I love this stuff about your ball screens are almost like moving screens.
My friends think that they like laugh at me and say this is the stupidest thing, but we make hand signals with our ball screens. So like we'll come up and we'll have an outside hand and we'll start on one side and go around to the other.
Right.
That really punishes hard show teams.
Right.
We'll have an inside hand for a slip. We'll have 2 hands for a pop. We won't have any hands for like an angled screen, but we'll even roll them outside the lane, right? We don't want to hit the roller anyway.
Okay.
So we'll just roll him like outside of the lane to create more driving space. But but we're penetration based. We're not
right. And you're dealing with smart kids that can do those reads too. Like they can.
I don't think it's too much of a read.
You don't think so?
We do some 2-on-0 stuff, maybe 2 or 3 times. I don't know, like twice a week.
Okay.
But like they're not thinking about hitting the roll guy at all. They're just looking for indecision in the on-ball defender.
Right.
So is he turning his head? Is he looking? Does he shift? Because all we're trying to do is get to the paint.
Right.
And so in our practices, in games too, they're all competition based. So as we're like, we'll have if you get to the paint, it'll be worth 2 points.
Right.
If you score,
I do that too. Yeah.
And so, and even in practice, individually, they will get a point if they get the ball to the paint. So they're not thinking about an assist. They don't care about an assist. They get an assist even going 2 out, like a hockey assist.
Right.
So all they're thinking about is getting to the paint. So even if you're wrong on the read, all you're looking for is what your guy's doing, not
Right, getting to the thing. What do you think the hardest thing to teach is? Anything. What as a coach?
Anything.
Well, yeah. What's our? I know there's a couple that are hard for high school coaches, but what do you think the hardest thing to teach is?
We press. So I would say being elevated in the press and not wanting to stand next to your man. That's
Okay.
I mean, like that's all you want to do is stand right next to your guy, even though you could give him 10 to 15 feet of space, rope and like see both,
And what kind of pressure do you do?
It's a combination of zone and man. Let me go back to one more thing. I remember playing. I was on Canada's national team, and we played Carolina when they had Dean Smith and Montrose and Salvadori and Phelps and all those guys.
Yep.
And I will never forget on every single shot, those guys, 7 foot, 6'11", no bit.
Right.
They would turn around and be like pointing to see who's crashing,
Right.
on every single shot. So a big thing in our guys to turn and locate is an act of God. How do you get them to I mean, just turn and locate, right?
Right.
They don't want to do that in games, but so we focus a whole lot on actions that lead to the things we want. So we don't talk about rebounding, defensive rebounding. We talk about, are you turning and locating, and we chart it.
Right.
If
are you
turn
finding somebody? I love that.
You're going to hit them, right?
Right.
So it's I
love you're teaching the action. You're teaching what you want. Yeah, I love that.
The action that'll lead to it, right?
That will lead to what you want. It's teaching 101. It's like I gotta teach you I'm a math teacher, so I gotta teach you these actions that I want you to get to. Is there one coaching moment that we could dive into to the listeners, that a success, a failure, something that they could take away like a golden nugget?
I would say the greatest thing that I can give, and it was a game changer for me, up until 5-6 years ago, wherever I was, after 2 recruiting classes, we were finishing in first or second place in losing cultures, right?
Right.
All of our guys are graduating, all this other stuff, but just in terms of basketball, who is to tell me that I was doing something wrong?
Right.
I mean, we're either winning the conference or we're finishing second in places that have always been the doormat, right?
Right.
So we lose to the same team and get upset in the playoffs in the first round 6 years ago. And we had finished, Whitman had 1 winning season in 20 years when we came in. And we had finished in second place 6 consecutive years. Now, you look like a sane guy, If you want to become insane, finish in second place for 6 years and going, okay, I'm going to go become a shepherd or something because I have how do I turn the corner, right? Right. So we get upset. I walk into the hotel room. We're on the road, and I walk upstairs, and I'm researched. I mean, I study it. It's like what I'm about, the whole bit. I look in the mirror, flick on the light. I'm in my suit, and I just looked at myself for about 30 seconds, and I forgave myself. And I said, I can't do anymore. I can't try any harder. And from right there, I said to myself, I'm okay if we never win the conference. I'm okay with that because either I'm not very good at it or I just can't I can't work harder. I'm okay with that. Right. So right then and there, I became detached from outcome. Right? Whatever. I'm going to try my best. Honestly, I was detached. That's number one. 16 hours later, we had our exit interviews with every single player. Too soon, too emotional, more on move by me. Yep. And I have our best player, and he and I are in the office. And I look at him, and I'm like, what the hell happened out there? And he's one of these analytical guys that if you asked him how he's doing, he'd be like, good. Right. He's very not comfortable. He says to me, looks me dead in the eyes and goes, I just think everybody wants you to believe in them. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't have to ask them. They don't? Wait a minute. That just put a stake in my heart, right? Mm-hmm. So literally in a 24-hour span, I went from caring about winning and losing to never mentioning the word again and being detached from outcome. And the number one goal is getting them where they aspire to be, but then believing in them.
Right.
I don't care what happens. They are going to point to right here. There's one guy on this planet that is with me and believes in me, and that's Bridge. That's my guy.
Right.
Ever since then, we have a higher winning percentage than anybody else in college basketball.
Right. And the thing is, so that probably might win the record for the biggest turn. But it's true. I remember one of my friends who had won like 3 or 4 state titles, and I had won. He goes, "No, there's a point where if you're only happy if you win it all, you're not going to be very happy, Steve." And I remember that conversation with him. He's like, "You gotta detach from that and go. It's got to be about how are you making the boys better." And that it was like that aha moment. Yeah.
Well, yeah. In a like all the coaches played for the most part, right? Like you wanted to make the team,
right?
Then you wanted to play,
right?
Then you wanted to start,
right?
And then you wanted to score. There's never an end to that.
Yeah. No.
There's just no end to it.
Right.
So it's like I talk to our guys that are motivated. Forget about winning and losing. You will go nowhere with that destination, right?
Right.
Do your best, work your ass off, do your best, right? Then whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. I actually had that conversation with my son today about school and stuff. I said, it's all about the effort, and the outcomes will take care of themselves.
Yeah.
It was literally the text I sent my son today because he was late on something he should have turned in. I go, Drew, I'm not mad about that. I'm mad. Look, here's what you got to do. It's about effort. It's about process. And then the outcomes will take care of themselves.
Yeah.
It was a great life lesson for him. Do you have any superstitions?
I used to, but all that with 5 or 6 years ago, all that changed.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. I used to, like throw away a suit that I lost, and that stuff goes.
I know.
Like now, it's completely out of my hands, and that's how you have to look at it. I'm going to do my best.
Right.
Like I'll tell you, 2 years ago we lost in the Final Four, and we were 31-0 going in, and it was the first time in 93 years anybody had gone, from like the West Coast, 31-0, whatever it is, and first time since '82 in the Final Four. We had a 25-point lead in the Final Four and lost it. But here's the thing, and it's a great example, right? I laugh about it. My friends are like, I'm like, well, if I were to go back, maybe I would have tried that. Maybe I did that. Right. I did my best.
Right.
That's all I got.
Right. You're always going to second guess. You're always going to, because you want the best, then if you're going to learn from it. Too. Yeah.
But I know I couldn't have done any more than like what I did. That's the main thing. Right. So it's like, okay, laugh at me. Right? What do you say?
Right. Yeah. What do you say? You got it. Yeah. What's one big thing you've seen change over the last, 20 years of your coaching in basketball? What have you seen?
What I'm seeing right now is and we're all seeing it, is the 3-point shot and the emphasis on it. I'd had time to watch the NBA games for until a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And the other night I'm watching the Bucks in like Toronto, and you got Brook Lopez jacking up 30 footers, and like they were
Stanford guy. Yeah.
Shot selection. It was like, you got to be kidding me.
Right. And he hadn't taken a 3 in his first 4 years in the NBA. He didn't take 1 3 in 4 years.
Yeah. And these are the best teams in the league, right?
Right.
And they're just letting it fly, and they're not, you're like, the game is just changed, just.
How do you think the extension of the line's going to affect, I think it's going to go through. How do you think that's going to affect your offense, the Division III game? Because I think it's coming. I think they're going to do it D1 next year, and I think it's coming for D3 to the international distance.
If they were smart, they would. Like when they changed the line, 3 or 4 years ago, and they gave us our own line.
Right.
I thought that was the moron move. They should have just give us FIBA rules.
Right.
That's how the world's playing anyway.
Yeah.
Give us the lane, give us the line, give us the time, give us the 4 quarters.
Right.
So we're going to do it piece by piece, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's the greatest thing for the game. It's how the world plays. It's going to create more space to drive. And the shot's too close. Let's be honest. I mean,
it is.
People are passing up point blank layups to throw skips cross court and jack 24 footers.
I'm telling you right now, it's too close at the high school level. Like
Yeah.
the women's is too close for guys at the high school level. It's
Right.
too close.
Right. So
Like,
I think it's the greatest thing that's happened. And
yeah, I told my son, if you're open, you better shoot it because that's a shot. Like that's a really good shot. Like, and it
yeah,
wasn't like that 20 years ago. I don't think.
no,
No,
it's boy, it sure is now.
I know. I think it's so changed. What would you tell yourself as a young coach? What would be your advice to yourself 15 years ago, 20 years ago?
I would say, boy, before I was a head coach, um, I don't know, network, prove that you can recruit.
Is that the key to getting a college job to show you can recruit? Because the
and
D3 level's gotten crazy with Calhoun doing D3. You know, the Vassar coach he was an assistant at Davidson. I mean, all these guys they're literally assistant D1s are jumping down and taking D3 jobs.
smart because they're never going to get a job at Division One. I mean, you have to wait 20 years to do it.
Right.
Loyalty. A lot of coaches in Division 3 are getting jobs because their head coach moves on.
Right.
And then he's pushing up too.
Yep.
Just working your butt off, being loyal, and then you got to recruit. I mean, like we just finished hiring our main assistant. Our head coach got the job at Aurora, who's a stud in that area.
Okay.
And so it was like the number one factor that I'm looking at is, are you a good guy? Right.
Right.
And can you recruit?
Right.
Like we've had a lot of success, and I will tell you right now, as all coaches will, our players are good.
Right.
Real good. All we do is recruit.
And how do I prove that I'm a recruiter to you?
By going and getting guys.
I know. I mean, but I'm just saying it for the people that are listening to this. Like I know there's the 25-year-olds out there that think I can do it. I'm here, but I mean, you have to have another job to be able to prove that you can recruit. I think it's about relationships. I think it's about being personable. I think it's about working camps. I think it's about networking.
Yeah.
How do I prove to you if I'm a 27-year-old that I can recruit when I'm in Tennessee and you're in Washington?
Well, here's a story. Like, when I saw Wahlberg's teams play at Clovis Weston High School, then at Fresno City JC, where they pressed and trapped, and I'm thinking, wow, I went down to watch his teams practice, and I stayed at his house one weekend, and and just how I went about, I think, how I acted. I sent each member of his family, Amazon cards. I think it was Amazon's. It was Barnes and Noble. Just thankful, and I recruited the family. I'm always checking in.
Right.
All of a sudden, Vance gets the job, and he calls me, and he's like, "Hey, I'm looking at this guy and this guy, and he goes, would you be interested?"
Right.
And it's like, well, why would he ever ask me to be his lead recruiter, right? I was recruiting coordinator. We had 2 top 25 classes, right? Why?
Right.
Because of how I recruited his family and how I was around him,
Right.
So you're recruiting on campus, in the classrooms, and in the res halls. You're recruiting all the time. How are you handling yourself, and how consistent are you in doing?
Right.
That's a good start.
Yeah, and I think that, and to be honest with you, your own players recruit. Once you get a job, your own players recruit for you. Yeah. That's what I tell my guys. I said, until you've had your visit, the coaches are going to tell you they're going to tell you the same thing that they tell 6 other kids. Hate to break it to you, but the kids will be the other players will be as honest as anybody.
That's where you get the vibe, and that's what we tell them too. You need to spend a night wherever you're at least one night, if not 2, and get with the players, because you'll get a vibe, and they'll answer the questions, and you'll get a feel for the program that you would never get if you just weren't around them. Coaches tell you whatever you want to hear, like you said. Right,
and they'll do it. All right, let's do my rapid fire. So I'm gonna ask you questions. Some of them will be quick ones. Some will be short. What's your favorite brand of basketball, like the type that you use during the game?
Fast break, press.
No. Okay, so I got to figure out how to word this better. I'm talking about literally the brand of basketball. What do you guys use in Washington?
We use what they use in the tournament.
Okay. Is it Spalding?
Yeah, Spalding.
Is it Spalding or Wilson? Okay. What's one word to describe your ideal player?
Versatile.
Okay. If you could go to one sporting event, what would you go to and why?
The Final Four, because it's so exciting, I guess.
It
My
is.
wife, I mean, she was on Pluto 3 years ago. And we went for the first time with her, and was like, yeah, Final Four is magical.
It's magical. What's your favorite pregame meal?
Our guys hate me for it, but it's pasta, red sauce, chicken, and a salad. And that's all we eat, because that's what the pros eat, and so that's what we do. And our guys can't stand it because it's always the red sauce and everything else. But that's what we eat.
Okay, what's one skill not being taught in today's game?
Passing.
And how would you teach that?
Very little. I mean, I think it's the worst fundamental in the game today. I mean,
it is, but then it's like, I know, but how do you teach it? That's the problem. It's like, I agree.
Why do you want it to? What's the point? What's the two-handed chest? That's gone.
Nobody does that.
Who wants to post anyway? I mean,
right.
The time you've got to spend in doing that. We incorporate different things in practice where, like, if we got a 3-line shooting drill that we do, and we'll make sure that we're passing with our weak hands so that we strengthen it, but we don't spend a whole lot of time on passing.
Right, and it's hard. What's one thing you do to relax?
Work out, read, spend time with our kids.
How's the fishing? Is there good fishing in Washington?
Hate it. Don't fish. Don't play golf. If you have kids, where do you have time to do that?
I don't. I used to pre kids. I used to fish and hunt.
I have more time putting a worm on the hook than I do.
Yeah.
Ever getting a fish.
I never did that. I always did trout fishing because I could think and I was moving. That's the only reason trout fishing worked for me. What's one coaching technique you consider important?
Technique. Give me an example of a technique.
Anything you do in basketball, anything you do when you're with your boys.
I think it's a possession game. So I'd say the first thing that each team has to do is get their rebounding in order.
Okay. It is a possession game. I'm a big point per possession guy because I'm a stats teacher.
Let me say something real quick.
Okay.
If you went through every league in every conference in the country at any level in men's basketball, you'll see verbatim first to last place in the teams that have the best possession differentials to the worst.
And what stat? What are you talking about with possession differential?
I'm talking about differences in offensive rebounding and turnover differential.
So they rebound and don't turn it over, is what you're saying.
They win the offensive rebounding. I don't care about defensive rebounds. Who's winning the offensive rebound? Like if they have 9 and we have 10, we're +1.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
If they have 20 turnovers and we have 10, now all of a sudden we're on +11, and we have 11 more shots than you do.
Right.
Who has more shots is going to win the majority of the games.
I mean, I'm a big no turnover guy. It just drives me. Turnovers are like my pet peeve. I just literally can't handle it. Like, it's the math person. It's like 3 points I can score and 3 points they can. Every time it's a 6-point turnaround. Every time we don't even get a shot at the basket, and they don't respect them. Respect the basketball is what I tell them. What's the best player you have seen in person? Basketball player you've seen in person?
At the time, it turned out to be Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. We had Paul George signed at Pepperdine, and we had Kawhi Leonard verbal.
Oh, wow.
They weren't pros yet. Steve Nash, I played with Steve Nash in Canada's national team for 2 years, but he wasn't quite developed yet, but he was pretty good.
And what made Steve Nash, the side note, what made Steve Nash?
I will tell you, he had an unwavering faith that he was going to be a pro and a really good pro. And he would talk about it all the time, almost to where you're like, okay, get over yourself. You know?
Right.
But
it's almost an obsessive thing.
Like it was going to happen. Like it was the sky is blue, the grass is green. I'm going to be a pro. I drink water. There was never a crazy, unwavering faith.
And he probably backed it by putting a lot of work in, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite drill or drills? You sent me a couple, but what are your favorite ones? And I'll put these in the show notes so people can have them.
I thought about it. We have a full court shell drill, press drill that we do that works on angles coming out of traps and rotating back, because we press, right? So
Right.
we do that once a day pretty much. And then the other drill that never gets old is a shell drill, and we do a bunch of things out of it in terms of jab recovers, and we rotate out of it a couple of times at the end of it. But there are just too many staples in that drill, the way that we do it, at least, that you got to do it every. Too good.
What's your feeling on closing out? I think it's an under-taught skill.
Well, I think you got to defend the three, right?
You do. That's why I think the game has changed. Here's my thought after going to hearing some speakers at the Final Four. The game has changed. They're shooting more threes. I'm not sure I'm teaching closing out in the different types of closeouts like I did. I'm better than I was 10 years ago, but I think it's maybe an underutilized skill being taught from all the people listening.
What you need to stop doing is coming off the corner. I mean, that's the first thing I'll tell you. It's a shorter distance. It's where they want to shoot in the NBA. Every time we come off a guy in the corner, I don't care if you got Shaq out there, he's shooting it and it's down. So you just can't come off the corner.
And what do you mean by come off the corner?
You can't leave the corner on penetration.
Okay.
You leave the corner on penetration, it's going to go there, and they're going to shoot it, and they're going to make it at a very high percentage.
So you got to run them off that. You got to run them off that shot.
You got to stop coming off the corner. If I'm guarding you in the corner,
right,
I can jab recover in the line, we call it, like to where it can't be a direct pass. They can lob it, they can throw a back door. If I'm off that line and it goes to you and you have a look from the corner,
you're shooting.
That's the highest shot in the game. That's the best shot in the game, really, besides the layup.
So you have to take that away, is what you're saying.
You'd be surprised. We make fun of it in our game breakdowns, right? Where we have like coming off the corner, and we call it getting freaked,
right.
And we all make fun of the guys doing it, because it always goes in. And so, but yeah, back to your original question about closeouts. In my opinion, if you let the ball come middle, it's going to lead to bad things, right? It's going to draw people. They're going to hit threes. There's too many plays to be made middle.
Okay.
So what we do is we have a game that's or a drill that's 2-on-2 where we start with guys wide beyond the three, and we'll throw it to one of them. And in our half court defense, in our shell defense, we have a guy that we call the blast guy, and he's outside the block, ball side. If he's guarding ball side block, weak side corner in that order.
Right.
So we close high side where they can't come middle, almost to a fault. But if you drive, there's a guy sitting there waiting for you.
Yep.
And we rotate on the weak side. So he's going to blast up your penetration, So that drill we do a lot. So closing out wise, we don't work on closeouts at all. But you better not get beat middle because you're going to be heading towards the bench.
So would you rather have the guy? So you're saying about that corner three. You'd rather have it. Would you rather have them get to the middle or get an open three in the corner? Neither, obviously, but
do not come off the guy in the corner if you're guarding him. That's like death.
It's like death. Okay.
And don't get beat middle. Those two things in our,
is your what's one thing that helped you become a better coach?
I think books, I I'll tell you what, having kids. I mean, that's
balance. Mine is balance. Then the kids helped me balance my life. Yes.
And the patience you've got to have with kids, level,
right.
Boy, will they just give you patience.
They do. Teach for 30 years. I'll give you a lot of patience. Swear to God. Or then you get older, you lose it. Favorite quote?
It used to be "Success favors the bold" by Napoleon. I don't know that I have one now. I mean, I'm wearing this band right now. It's CKMOH. I sent it to you. Can't knock me off happy.
Right.
You got to be. You're only as happy as you choose to be. Right.
Right.
So I'm like, I'll say this 10 times, maybe 4 or 5 times a day. Can't knock me off happy. Can't knock me off happy.
Right.
Can't knock me off happy. No matter what happens, I'm going to be happy. Like almost like you're a clown saying it.
Right.
Then to be happy it's a choice because it's so easy for us to go, or at least for me to go through and bitch about everything and to
Right.
not, it's got to be conscious effort to be happy. It's a fundamental.
What's one word to describe your coaching style?
From the heart.
Okay. Yeah. It's like, best basketball coach of all time.
It's got to be Coach K.
Okay. Best basketball game you've seen in person.
It might have been our one that I coached in. We played Whitworth up here. Has been the monster in our conference forever, and we had we just could not break. I mean, they just own the conference, right? So it's
Right.
like, and we finally broke through them up there, and it was no one lost the game. It was just we had a shot at the buzzer to win it, but it was like just a heavyweight fight, and both teams.
It was a slugfest. Yeah.
We just ran out of time. Both teams were like, it was an unbelievable game from every aspect. I would say that, and just happened to coach it, but it's amazing.
Right. No, I won a state title in 3 overtimes. It's like sometimes I think, swear to God,
Right.
I still don't know how we won the game, to be honest with you. I don't know how we won it. What's the worst game you've ever seen in person?
I can give you probably 50 of the ones I coached. we lost a 25-point lead.
4-1. You can take that one if you want.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't take it back. It was a great game.
Right.
I don't know if with the worst game. I don't know.
You could write any AAU game in the summer in July. No, just kidding.
The worst I think is when I'm watching games and the coach is just in his guys and is just overly negative. To me, kids are pleasers and all they want to do is please. And if you just believe in them, and you're positive,
right,
and you're consistently positive and you believe in them to do anything else once you see the results of that, especially when you're attacking kids or getting is crazy to me.
Well, and I think from an old dog, from a porch dog, trust me, how I coached 30 years ago is not how I coach now. But I would be a dinosaur if I hadn't changed. So you have to change. Like the people listening, the young coaches listening, you have to be willing to pivot. You have to be willing to change because the kids in 30 years are going to be different than the kids we have right now. And if you don't,
I'll tell you right now, we don't tell them that they have to do anything.
Right.
Even on the board, like I just write on the board, no threes for Steve.
Right.
Well, that's pressure. Like, gosh, if we give up a 3,
right.
No, instead I'll be like, you know what? Steve's going to hit some, right? We got to see growth in our rotations, right? And we can just limit those.
Limit those corner threes. What's one book you'd recommend? Yeah. One book.
Boy, good to great. Mike Dunlap at Loyola Marymount gave me Good to Great by Jim Collins. I mean, that was it. It just got me structured. I was all over the place, and I read the book, and it was like, it analyzes 20 companies that blow away their competition 15 times the dollar and what they have in common, right?
Okay.
Culture Code's another one.
What was that one? I didn't hear that one. What was that one?
Culture Code.
Okay.
Is good. The Captain's Class is amazing. Those 3, and I would throw in there Practice Perfect by Lamav.
Practice Perfect.
That's really good. All 4 of those are magic.
Okay. What's the one thing you would tell a young coach?
Network. Be loyal. Sacrifice. And you know what? I'm writing a book for our kids, and I'm up to like 84 chapters, and that could be one little sentence, or it could be a page and a half, right?
Right.
And I just wrote something to them yesterday about humility. If you can have one superpower or one leadership trait, it would be humility. You just don't know it all.
You don't.
Even if like I will tell you right now that I'm a moron. That's factual. And there's not one thing that we're doing that I'm like, this is how it's got to be.
Right.
No, I'll listen to anybody. Like, it's all been done before. The more humble and open I can be, the more I learn and get better. It's crazy.
Right.
You can't imagine yourself 30 years ago.
Be a
right?
life. What be a life? My advice always to the young coaches that ask me is be a life learner. Be. You know, have that
And,
open mind. You
and
know,
that begins with humility, you know?
it does. It does. It does. So, any parting words, Coach? I'm going to put all your contact information on the show notes. I'll put all your videos and all that stuff from championship down below so people can click on it. Is there any parting words you would have for some young coaches other than humility? I agree.
Just invest in the kids. You know, give them what coaches hopefully gave you. You know, teach them how to play, and don't give them plays.
Right.
You know, I gotta tell you, like we have, you know, I finally did this video thing. I've been wanting to do it for the longest time because I think what we're doing is valuable, or at least can add value. And like, there's no breakdown drills, or there's very few for the fence offense, right?
Right.
Because it's not a structured offense. You've got to let them.
So let's before we end. So do you have a set of rules? Do you have a set of spot? I mean, how do you teach? Just in a paraphrase version. So if someone wants to go get the video, how do you go about like? Tomorrow I want to teach defense offense to my kids. How could I briefly do that?
I would say whatever you're teaching, teach out of the hole.
Okay.
Let them play out of it, and then stop and rewind and play. We'll rewind and play and stop and rewind. You know, with fence, get on the fence.
Okay.
Get out of the way.
Yes.
You know, drive it, and if you break 15 feet and you pass it somewhere else, get to the baseline and get the hell out of there.
Right.
Stay wide and create space. And it's funny, if you do that, can't stop it.
Right. It's about space. The game is really about space, and it's really a small man's game. I mean, it's a 2 or 3 man game at any given time. It's not 5 guys on offense at least.
I mean, like if you watch this play, you would see 3 guys ridiculously out of the way on one side, and then a 2-man game going on someplace, but with the other 3 guys in the corner or someplace, you know.
And they're just wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wide and low usually. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach. I really appreciate you taking the time.
That was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. Hey, Coach. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you go over and check out teachhoops.com up above and down below. Let me help you win championships just like me. Lots of rings. You know, teachhoops.com is a community. It's mentoring for me, one-on-one calls, office hours, you name it. We'll help you. And lots of resources. So make sure you go over and check it out. Let me know how we can help you become a better basketball coach.